What is the one thing that you hold closest to your heart? I mean, the one thing that if anyone ever asked for it, you would laugh at them. No, scratch that. I mean the one thing that your friends and your family even know better than to ask you for. Is it your car? Is it your money? Is it your time? Is it your friends? Is it your boyfriend, your girlfriend? Is it your fear, your anxiety, or just your feelings in general? What is the thing that sits on the throne of your heart that you protect with your life? I hope you got a picture. I hope you got some type of idea in your head of what that thing is. Now, imagine God telling you to throw it away and burn it. Yeah, I mean, take that thing, rip it up, and set a fire to it. Imagine it. Well, there was this guy in the Bible that God told him to do exactly this. Maybe you heard of him, maybe you haven't. I'm sure you have. This guy by the name of Abraham. Abraham was a faithful guy. He loved God. He loved God so much that he served God with all of his heart. And he believed God even when God told him some crazy, wild stuff. God told him at a very old age that he would have a child. And that from his bloodline, from his descendants, will be many nations. Abraham believed God. Year after year after year, God affirmed Abraham, and he reconfirmed his word and said, look at the sand on the sea. Can you even count it? And just like you can't count the sand on the sea, you won't be able to count your descendants. But still, Abraham and his wife Sarah could not give birth to a kid. Years go on, and his wife Sarah tells him, you know what? Maybe God just needs a little bit of help. You know, we believe his promises, but maybe God is waiting for us to help him out. Maybe God is waiting for us to step out in faith. We know, she probably pulled a scripture to him. You know, faith without works is dead. Maybe we have all this faith, but maybe it's dead because we're not working. So Sarah said, how about you do this? I know God said that me and you are going to have a kid, but maybe we're supposed to add some works to it. I don't know. So how about you have sex with our servant? Make a child with her, and maybe that'll be what God is promising. So they did it. Bada bang, bada boom, they have a son. Only this was not what God promised. God promised Abraham that Abraham and his wife Sarah will have a seed. And from their intimacy, they would have descendants that are as countless as the sand on the seashore and the stars in the sky. So they have this son Ishmael. But God is telling Abraham, continue to believe. I'm telling you, now this man is 100 years old. So this man has believing for this promise for tens of years, decades after decade. He's believing for the one thing that God has promised him. And it comes. Sarah has a son, and his name is Isaac. Isaac grows up. They spend time together. They're outside and they're throwing the ball together. They cry together. I'm sure Isaac got his butt whooped a couple of times too. They lived their life. Abraham got to live with the fulfillment of the promise. He got his son. I can't even imagine how happy he is. I can't imagine the emotions that were flooding through his heart as he realized that God had come through. You did it again, God. I asked for it and you gave it to me. Even though I messed up, you were faithful. One day, when he was probably thanking God and praising God for his son Isaac, God told him, give me the one thing that you love most. Give me your son. Go up on the mountain, and I want you to sacrifice him. I don't mean sacrifice like offer him up to me. I mean gut him like you would gut a cow. Kill him. I can't imagine how Abraham felt. His heart probably broke. He probably cried right then and there. The one thing that he was waiting for, the thing that he loved the most, God told him to kill it. And he didn't even tell him why. He just said, kill it. Well, Abraham, being a man of faith, he told his son the next day, let's go. His servants grabbed some firewood and they walked up. They're climbing up the mountain. Abraham turns to his servants and says, wait here while me and the boy go up to worship. They're walking up the hill, just him and his son now. Isaac in his head is like, we're going to worship, we're going to sacrifice, but there's no animal to kill. He's probably just living by faith, just like his father. You know what? Who knows? There'll be some sacrifice. They walk up there. I don't know how Abraham did it. I'm not sure if Isaac just fully had faith in his father and just obeyed him. I'm not sure if God gave Abraham supernatural strength or something. But Abraham, in his old age, managed to tie Isaac up and lay him on a rock. And he began to do the thing that God had told him to do. He was about to kill his son. He raises up the knife, and right as he was coming down, he heard an angel say, stop. And he looks up. The angel points that there's a ram in the bush. And he does not have to kill his son. Well, happy ending, right? But I would like to focus on the fact that Abraham didn't know that 10 seconds ago. Abraham was in the motion. He was violently coming down with a knife. He fully made up in his mind that he was going to kill his son. There was no reservations. There was no doubts. At that moment, even with the fear, even with the worry, if all of his emotions raging, he knew one thing. And it says this in Hebrews. He believed God so much that if God promised that through Isaac that he would have many descendants, that even if I kill him, God can resurrect the dead. There was such faith that Abraham had in this moment. I don't need to understand step 2. I don't need to understand step 3. I don't have to even understand step 4. But what I do know is you promised that I'm going to get to step 5. Some of you, God promised you that he was going to make you a millionaire. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we talk about prosperity, but I mean it. God promised you that you were going to be wealthy. But right now, you're still living in poverty. You've been sharing the bed with your sibling for years, and you don't get it. And then as soon as a job comes and they're going to pay you a good amount of money, God tells you to turn it down. But God, you said this. I'm just step 2, step 3 doesn't look like I'm going to get to step 5. But he says, would you give it to me? Give me the thing that you've been waiting for. Give me the thing that you hold closest in your heart. I know what I promised you, but if you can give me the promise, I will give you the promiser. I will give you myself. For the Bible also says that Jesus is the rewarder and the reward of those who diligently seek him. Your reward is not the promise. Your reward is the rewarder. Your reward is not the promise. Abraham's reward was not Isaac. It was not descendants. Abraham's reward was Jesus. Abraham understood, God, even if Isaac has to die, you won't lie to me. You said that I was going to have many descendants. You said, and I was faithful to it, that from Sarah, that we would have descendants as countless as the sand on the sea. So even if I have to kill the first one, you're going to still make this thing happen. I'm challenging you today because I know that God is calling you to kill the thing that he's promised you. Kill it. The desire, the hope. He's telling you, give it to me. Would you trust me with it? I know it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. I know it seems like I'm contradicting myself. God is saying, I know what I said, and it shall come to pass, but it's going to happen the way I want it to happen and not the way you want it to happen. For I use the foolish things to confound the wise. If you give me your wisdom, if you lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways, if you acknowledge me, if you trust me, I promise you I'll make the path straight. I'll lead you and guide you into all righteousness. I will show you the way. Stop getting tripped up when it not looking the way you thought it would look. Today, God is calling you to be the giver. Would you give God your all, your last, your favorite? Would you give God your promise? When you give God your promise, He will give you Himself. So really, who has the better deal? You get the King of Kings. You get the Prince of Peace. You get the one who's at His right hand are pleasures forevermore. He gives you pleasures forevermore, eternal pleasures. And all He asks is for your faith. He asks for your promise. He asks for your understanding. So today, let's give it up.